Hi and welcome back to Diego's Joint for the Good Eggs podcast. My name's Anthony McDermott and today we've got one of the strongest people I know. We've got Zoe Chandler from Weights Cakes CIC. So let's go and meet her. So welcome Zoe to Diego's Joint.
Good afternoon.
Been here before, haven't you?
Yes, I've been here a few times, for networking events.
Oh yeah, of course you have. Probably with us, in fairness.
With you guys, with Vic.
Good. So welcome to the Good Eggs podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Your first ever podcaster here.
First ever podcast, so break me in gently.
I can't promise. First of all, Zoe, could you just tell us who you are and what organisation you're from?
So my name's Zoe Chandler and I'm the founder of Weights Cakes in Southwick.
Fantastic. And how long have you been doing that?
Weights Cakes has been a social enterprise since 2021.
Okay. So you've been...
So almost 5 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's flown over, hasn't it?
It's flown over, yeah, it has.
Okay. So before we get to that bit, before we get to Weights Cakes, let's hear about Zoe. This is your life. So take us back to where you're from, because that's clearly not a Southwick accent I can hear.
Definitely not a Southwick accent.
So where about you from, Zoe? Tell us about your early years.
From Cheltenham originally, in Gloucestershire. I've lived in the northeast for about 25 years now.
Did you grow up in Cheltenham or did you move on somewhere else?
No, I grew up in Cheltenham. So I went to school in Cheltenham. I started my career in Cheltenham. And as I say, I moved up here when I was about 30.
I went to Cheltenham once for a training course. Quite a nice little place.
Most people have been to the Cheltenham Gold Cup, the races.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's pretty famous for that.
I'm sick of losing money on it, so I don't bother anymore. So how old were you when you moved up to the northeast? And were you relatively young still, or...?
Relatively young compared to now, yeah. 28, 29 when I moved up here.
Okay, and about your early years, so you went to school, did you go to college, did you go to uni, anything like that?
Nope. Didn't. Left school at 15, no qualifications. Fell into my first job, which was advertising.
All right, okay. Sales or?
Sales, yeah. So I worked my way up through the newspaper to become advertising sales manager. Which I did that for a few years and absolutely loved it.
Newspaper sales, big dog eat dog in those days, or?
It was fantastic in the 90s. Really, really good. It was in the days of excess, so there was big money, big bonuses, big parties. It was a good gig.
Who did you work for? Was it a national or a local?
I worked for a national. Yeah, I worked in the Independent.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah,
brilliant.
So,
so that was quite high profile, I guess.
It was, yeah. So it was a good job.
Yeah, and I guess that probably stood you in good stead with people because you have to get to know people, I guess, in sales, don't you? So
yeah. So I think the one skill that it taught me is networking, and it's building relationships with other people. So I've carried that forward into other roles that I've had since then. It's
really just slightly digressing, but I find it really sad that the newspaper's kind of dead or dying at least, isn't it? I worked in radio sales, so I kind of get where you. A little bit about where you're coming from, but again, it's a dying trade, and it's just really sad because I loved it being in that industry as well, and it's just a shame, isn't it?
As an industry, it was fantastic. I mean, we had some great fun working in newspapers, but things move forward, don't they? Everything went online, and people don't advertise in newspapers as much now.
So when that finished, did you kind of leave before it was kind of dying off, or?
Yeah, I kind of left before it was dying off, and I went into HR. So I started in recruitment, people recruitment for jobs, and then ended up here in the northeast working in HR. Okay.
How did you find that move from sales into HR? Because it's a bit different, isn't it?
Well, it is, but again, it's still about relationships with people. It's still about networking. It's still about understanding people, and there's a lot of people skills involved.
So what brought you to Northeast? Was it work or? Okay, right. We'll not go there. Something brought you here.
My second husband.
Okay.
Yes, I got married and moved up here. He works at the uni.
All right. Okay.
So yeah.
So you came to sunny Sunderland. What was your kind of initial impressions of what we were talking here then? So this is.
So about 2001, I moved up here.
So Sunderland was in a bit of a challenging situation then, really, wasn't it? I guess there was lots of poverty and lots of people quite negative, I suppose, then, were there?
I'd never been further north than Watford
before
I moved up here. Okay. So I was a proper southerner. Right. And I moved up and I could not believe how beautiful it was. The first thing that struck me was house prices. Just like compared to Cheltenham, were phenomenally cheap. It was just shocking. what I could buy for my money up here.
Do you know, I saw a house the other day in Peterlee, just down the road, 3-bedroom house, and it was on for 62 grand.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong, the you know, it was in a deprived area, blah, 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 but you can't go wrong for 62k.
Absolutely not.
Just crazy.
No, it's cheaper than renting. And I didn't realise that there were so many beautiful beaches in the northeast. And I love Sunderland in particular because we've got the coast, we've got the countryside, but then you've got the towns. So it's just literally got everything, and I love the people. I just fell in love with the area.
So whereabouts in Sunderland do you live?
I live in Ryop.
Okay. So you were living in Ryop, you were doing HR, and at this point, I'm guessing weightlifting wasn't even part
Not
of
even a thing. No, I went to uni, did my HR degree. It wasn't anywhere on the radar. I hated sport. I hated exercise. I tried all the classes in my early 30s, like Zumba and body pump.
Hey, that came and went, didn't it? Zumba.
Metafit. And all of those, and it just wasn't for me. And I didn't like it at all. And then I stumbled upon strongman training.
Okay.
And I met someone who did strongman training, so flipping tyres, picking heavy stuff up, moving it to the other side of the room, pulling cars, pushing trucks. Absolutely my cup of tea.
So how old are you at this point then, if you don't mind me asking?
I was, let's have a look, crikey, 37.
So relatively, don't think it's the wrong way, but relatively
old
and for that.
Thanks,
Yeah,
yes.
No, but for
first getting into sport,
for taking into something completely new, that's, you know, because most people, I expect, probably get into these things from an early age. So you're probably a bit of an outlier, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge masters community, which is massive. Right. And there's a lot of women that sort of kind of get to late 30s, early menopause, and they have a little bit of rage and they need to hit things and move things. And strongman ticks all those boxes.
So you're working in HR, and then what? Somebody invited you to a class, or how did that?
So I left my job in HR. Okay. I've got 5 children altogether. But my 2 youngest are both autistic, and they have quite high level of need. Yeah. I'm working in a corporate job, trying to get hospital appointments, counselling appointments, SIPs, CAMs, all of those things, language and speech and language, and just trying to get time off for those appointments is hard. Trying to juggle schools, trying to juggle educational healthcare plans, it just wasn't working. So I stopped working to look after the 2 youngest, and I became really fat and depressed.
Was this over a period of time, or was this a relatively short space, would you say?
It was probably over a period of about 4 or 5 years. Okay. And the support at the time for parents with kids with special education needs was few and far between. The support that you received from your doctors was, here's some antidepressants, go away. There was no sort of actual counselling or anything to support people like me. And I found it really, really difficult. My mental health suffered massively. Right. So I got into strongman purely for my mental health.
It must be quite difficult because you're a high flyer, not a relative high flyer. You were a high flyer back in your day, you know, with the newspaper, and then, you know, moving into going to uni and all that. So I guess going from that to kind of almost nothing or very little, that must have been bloody tough.
Yeah, really, really tough. And I don't think people realise how, I always say, stay-at-home mums or dads have got the hardest job in the world.
Lonely.
Looking after kids is so much harder than working.
Yeah, I can imagine.
In corporate industry. Yeah. So being at home with 2 young kids that both have like high level of need was lonely. It was isolating, and it was hard work. And I just happened to meet a lady who did yoga. And she said, I think you'd like my husband. He's got a gym in Hendon. Right. He was in Hendon at the time, Villiers Street. And she said, meet him. And I was like, no, gym's not my thing. I am not doing burpees. I'm not jumping around. I was probably about 148 kilos at the time. So I was carrying a lot of weight. I was really depressed. I was on every painkiller you can imagine, every antidepressant you can imagine. And I was like, I'm not doing it. Anyway, I succumbed. I met Richie, and we did some tire flips and some log presses and lifted heavy stuff up, and I absolutely loved it. I was really good at it, But the best thing for me is it gave me an hour where I wasn't mom, I wasn't somebody looking after people with autism, I wasn't trying to juggle the education system. I was just somebody picking heavy stuff up and moving it around the gym. Loved it.
So how did that kind of get you to where you are today then? So you obviously loved it. It probably did wonders for your mental health. I'm assuming you lost weight and all these other benefits of weight training. What is it that you I'm guessing at this point social enterprise wasn't even on your radar, I'm guessing.
No, not sure.
Probably not even helping people probably wasn't on your radar. At this point it's all about fixing Zoe, I'd imagine. So what was the kind of next stages for you to maybe getting into business? What did that look like?
So from strongman, there's only so long you can pick heavy stuff up and move it, really heavy stuff, and compete in it.
Right. Were you competing at this point?
I was competing,
were
yeah.
You pretty good from the start then? Were you like a natural, would you say? I know you probably don't like admitting that, but...
I try and be good at everything I do. I was average. I'd won a few comps. And I was strong.
Yeah.
Naturally strong, I think. So you get to a stage where, I can't compete with 22-year-olds who are just coming into the industry. They've got working knees, they've got working hips, and they're much stronger than me. So I'd gone to a Scottish expo in Glasgow, and I saw Sonny Webster, who was lifting for GB at the time, doing Olympic weightlifting. And I went, I want to do that.
Really? Wow.
I was like, this is amazing. Literally the showiest, loudest. He was just a proper showman. Used to wear his cap back to front. He had his tongue out, and it just looked amazing. So I thought, right, I'm going to do Olympic weightlifting. And that was it. And I just got myself a coach, taught myself.
What did the family think about this? Because this is obviously quite a different avenue for you.
They just thought I was crazy. They were like, as long as she's got some time on her own and her mental health's okay, we're good.
And how old are you at this point?
So
40?
39, 40
when
I first started Olympic weightlifting. Didn't really know much about it. Taught myself a lot off YouTube. Went to my first competition without a coach. Didn't know the rules. Didn't know what I was doing. I thought, gonna have a go. Put my singlet on. Stood in the toilet and went, Jesus Christ, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. And looking back at my videos of the first competition, it's hilarious. But do you know what? I went out there, I stood on the platform in front of everybody else and just had a go. And I loved it. And
you know what? That's the hardest thing sometimes, isn't it? Just having a go. And even, it's funny actually just talking about things like, because I heard, Alfie Joy, the guy who lives in Newcastle. I don't know if you've seen
I met him the other week.
So one of the things he often talks about is, when people do things for the first time and they look back and it's always a bit crap. It's always a bit crap the first time we do things because we're learning and all the rest. And he says it's really important to look at those things and look at the next one and the next one, and you get better and better. And I'm assuming that's kind of where you went, was it? And just kept on going. And I guess looking back at that now, you go, crikey, that's where I was. And that must give you a right buzz seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look at my first competition and I think, God, what was I doing? But for me, it's a great learning curve for the kids as well, because I say to the kids, look, I did this, I was rubbish, and it's okay to be rubbish at something, because that's how you learn. From there I went and got myself a proper coach, an Olympic weightlifting coach. Stuck at it. I've been doing it for 12 years. I did some competitions. I've competed all over the UK. I've got British championships, I've got European titles. I then, because I like to do things to the nth degree, I thought, you know what, I'll be a coach. I'll teach other people how to do this, because I love this sport. And if it makes me feel this good, I bet it could make other people feel good.
And was this at a gym at the time? Were you in your head, was it actually coaching a gym? Was that kind of right?
Yeah. And I went and worked over in North Tyneside. I worked for a friend of mine who's got a gym over there. I helped him. He had a kids club. And I was like, this is amazing. Teaching young people how to do Olympic weightlifting is just phenomenal, because they learn so quickly, and they're just the buzz they get from it, because it's empowering. And I thought, I love it, absolutely love it. Then I qualified as a coach. I was coaching for a few years. The COVID hit. Where we all took time to reflect.
So it's always good for an industry where you need to be out touching people, isn't it? And being with people, isn't it?
COVID hit, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to set up on my own. I'm going to run a strongman boot camp in Ryop car park during COVID.
Love it.
And I'm going to do online sessions. And that's what I did. We ran 3 boot camps a week in Ryop car park.
Where's Ryop car park? I know Ryop well.
You know where Tunstall Hills,
Oh yeah,
where the boxing club is, that car park. That's where we used to train.
Wow,
so I'd load my car up with all the equipment, my poor car. I used to put a tyre in it, sledgehammer, weights, everything. We'd load it up the night before. We'd drive around to the car park. We'd unload it all. We'd train for a couple of hours, load the car back up. And it was amazing. My first session in Ryop car park, I knew no one. Yeah. And I thought it's either going to go brilliantly or it's going to fall on its arse. So I popped it on, Ryop, have your say. First session, try some strongman stuff. It's fun. And about 15 people turned up.
Massive.
Huge.
Yeah. Couple of quid each, I'm guessing, at the time.
Couple of quid each, yeah. They turned up, and this is 6 years ago, and they're all still with me.
Oh wow, that's
so
good.
yeah,
That's brilliant,
they're pretty good bunch. We're all still doing it. We started a session called SAS, which at the time stood for Strong Ass Strength Squad, and SAS is still going strong. And yeah, we train 3 times a week, and it's not about bikini boot camps. It's not about the next fad diet. It's about getting stronger. It's about building muscle, and it's about building a community.
Because I think that's probably, you touched on it gently there, but I think often when people think of gyms, not necessarily weightlifting, but gyms in general, they think of, you talk about bikini clad, but it's about these maybe super skinny people or super fit people, and that really puts people off.
Yeah.
And I think particularly maybe for young people and young men these days, you know, people think they're going to go in, everyone's going to have a six pack and big muscles. Would you say that's pretty fair? And
yeah, and I think something that I see more and more now is young. I have quite a few teenagers in the club, quite a few teenage boys, and they'll come in with their phones and they'll show me the phone and they're like, natty or not? And I'm like, not. Yeah. They don't even look like that. It's photoshopped. They looked like that for 5 minutes before they had a glass of water. And I think that social media image that's being drip fed now to boys as well as girls is really damaging.
It is. And I think, without going on a soapbox, but programs like Love Island and all these things, they just don't help, do they?
No.
Because it's just not real. It's not real. You don't walk around and see people who look like that, and you see these kids every day, and that must really affect them. It really must.
Yeah, absolutely. And they still, you know, the narrative that gets fed to them about what they should be eating or what they should, the diet industry is horrific.
It always has been, hasn't it?
Yeah. But it's, I think looking back over the years, for girls, it's always been horrific. But I think now for boys, it's quite challenging for them as well, because they've got the pressure to have a big chest, to have big shoulders, to have biceps, and to look ripped all the time. And nobody looks ripped all the time. And if they do, they're miserable.
Yeah. And if they do, they haven't got a full-time job. They haven't got a family. They haven't.
That's their job,
because that's their life, isn't it? Yeah, people. Yeah, it's. And then the challenges, and we touched briefly about this before we started filming. But you know, you talk about people who are using subtences and you know, natty people and all the rest of it. And again, do you think that's a challenge these days?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
People want a quick fix, don't they?
Yeah. And because I'm a British weightlifting affiliated club, it's a clean sport. We do work around drugs and performance enhancing drugs with the kids and tell them the pitfalls of it and the truth about it, because there's a lot of glamour. You just go on TikTok and type in performance enhancing drugs, you'll get all the peptides and all this, you know, I can get this, that and the other. And actually they don't tell you the truth about it. So we're quite open with our young people and tell them that, you know, what effects it can have on you long term.
So just going back to the start of the business. So we're in Ryop Car Park.
We're in Ryop Boot Camp,
making a few quid, but just plodding, I'm guessing, at this point. Is that right? Or?
Yeah. I mean, it started as 1 session a week. Then it moved to 3 sessions a week. Then it moved to 6 sessions a week. So it grew.
How did that grow? Was that social media, would you say?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
So they were all bringing their friends along. Yeah. And then I started one. My mum lives at Marsden Cliff, not at Marsden Cliff. She's not a witch on the cliffs. She lives by Marsden Grotto. So I'd go up to hers on a Sunday. So I was like, well, whilst I'm up here, I might as well do a boot camp in the car park.
As you do.
So we had a boot camp there as well. And it was great. And people trained in all weathers. Didn't matter if it was pouring with rain, snowing, blowing a gale. They still wanted to train because it was their time to lift stuff, to meet other people and decompress. So that was going really, really well. I didn't have any young people at this time.
Okay.
I'd run a few workshops in the car park, but it's quite difficult to work with young people in a car park.
Would you consider yourself a business owner at this point, or would you still say you just...
No, I was just a self-employed fitness person.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you were clearly running a business,
Yeah.
but you probably didn't think of it like that at that point, no?
No, not at all. And I did, so I did online yoga.
Right.
I had a contract with an organisation where at 6 o'clock in the morning, 3 times a week, I'd do a boot camp online. That was interesting, all over the world. So I had people from all over the world signing in via Zoom whilst I just danced about, and it was great. They paid me, it was fab. And then I saw an advert for a unit to rent in Hendon, just around the corner on Niles Street. And I went and had a look at it. It was just a really small studio. And I thought, I could open a studio and I could stop being like getting soaking wet and getting like freezing cold and stop my car from like being destroyed from all the equipment. So I rented a studio, and the idea for the studio was that I ran SAS 6 times a week, and then that I would start a youth provision.
So at this point, you're thinking about kids already, yeah. Is this when the idea of kids came along? Or you've always had it, I guess, have you? But this is when you're thinking, let's do it.
I mean, I like working with kids. I enjoy working with kids, but for me, I think Olympic weightlifting is a really, really good sport for young people, especially if they're neurodiverse, because it's very sensory. It's focused. There's rules to it. And it's just you and your bar. So you're not competing with somebody else. So it's a really good sport. And it's great for young people to get a reward. They get a dopamine hit out of it because there's always something they can be good at. So started at Hendon. We put a few classes on, and it just grew. In a year, it was huge, which was fantastic. We had a group of young people started with us 3 times a week, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was a tiny studio. There was 4 platforms in there.
Are you charging kids?
We were charging at the time. Yep. It was got charged membership.
So when did the community interest company aspect come in, the social, because I guess the social enterprise, just like on one of our other podcasts we were talking, and people still don't really know what it means. I'm guessing at this point you probably were like, never heard of social enterprise. Where did that kind of idea come from?
That didn't really come into play until we moved to Southwick, and we started getting schools contracts. So when we moved into Southwick, much bigger building, more platforms, more space. And I started offering sessions into secondary schools, where I'd go into schools, deliver Olympic weightlifting. The kids would go, "Oh my God, this is amazing," but my mum can't afford it.
It's a deprived area as well, isn't it?
Really deprived area.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, well, we need to do something then, because these kids have got a talent. They're getting something out of this sport. They're building relationships, making friends. We need to be offering them some sort of scholarship or bursary and offering some free sessions. So that's where the community aspect came into it. And then it just grew and grew and grew. Now we have a thriving youth provision where we offer Olympic weightlifting. We also offer an open session to our teenagers, where Southwick, deprived area, a lot of trouble going on. And I always say I'd rather have the kids in the gym than out on the streets. So they can come in, do a drop-in session. They can come and use the facilities, do some training, have some tea, do their homework, have a bit of a chat and a bit of gossip, but they're off the street.
Would you say some of the kids are, naughty's not the word, but challenging kids, would you say?
I love a challenging kid.
I know you do.
I love a feral kid.
I know you do.
So no, I think they're just children. We've seemed to have lost the ability to think of young people as young people now. We expect way too much. We expect kids to sit and be quiet. Kids aren't supposed to sit and be quiet. They're supposed to climb on everything. They're supposed to ask you 150 questions before breakfast. That's what they're supposed to do. And I think, at schools, they're in a class, and I understand it. They've got 35 other children in the class. They have to sit still. They have to focus. And it's difficult for a lot of our kids. So to be able to come into a place like ours where they can train, we've got sensory equipment, we've got a sensory room, we've got space for them to move about. They can and do ask all the questions all the time, and that's okay. So they're allowed to be young people. And we have had kids we do have young people who have gone off the rails, have done things that are daft. But I mean, when I was 14, I did daft things too. I just didn't get caught. Some of these kids, some of these kids have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we take them into the club, teach them a bit of discipline, teach them a sport. But more importantly, we put an arm around them and we give them somewhere where they're cared about, where we care what grades they get. We care whether they go to school. We care whether they've, done their homework.
Is that part of the kind of the rules of the club then? Is it so if they come, you expect them to go to school, to be well behaved? Is there structure when you get in there, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have many rules in the club. The kids put the expectations on themselves, I think, rather than on me. A lot of my young people are out of education because they've got, they're awaiting educational healthcare plan and they've got nowhere to go to school. Okay. So they're not in education. But I do expect a certain standard from them. They know that if they get in trouble that they're going to disappoint me. And they hate it when I'm disappointed. So, I mean, we've got a great bunch. We've got about 35 young people. And
what's the age range on them?
They're supposed to start from 7. But I'm a bit of a sucker for a sob story. And if somebody comes in and they're crying because their brother's doing it, I'm like, go on then. So we've got a 5-year-old.
Wow.
And, with the little ones, we just run and jump and squat and we've got boxes and we do fun stuff and we play silly games that are related to the sport that we do. So for us, it's about having fun and just getting them moving.
I love that. So social enterprise, where did that come from? How did you end up going, I'm going to be a CIC? Because nobody knows what they are. So how did you find out what they were?
I kind of covered it briefly on my HR degree. So I did cover it very briefly. And when I got the place in Hendon, I was like, do I go limited company? Do I stay self-employed? And I thought, no, I'm gonna become a kick and see if I can do some. At the time, I didn't think about it for the young people. Yeah. I thought about it. I'd do classes for the over 55s as well. And I had quite a few clients at the time, which were young adults with learning difficulties. And I thought, this is community-based stuff. So I think we can give back to the community. We make money. We've got a trading arm. But we put the money back into the business. As most social enterprises, you don't get paid for the first God knows how long. But we've got lots of lovely kit.
I've never heard anybody come in and go, start a social enterprise, made a fortune year one. Not once, ever. Not once. In fact, I've never heard anybody say I took a wage year one, quite honestly with you. So very rare. No, very rare.
No, but the difference you can make to somebody's life year one is phenomenal. And that's why we all do it. That's why we all keep going.
I love it. So, and you also deal with older people as well, don't you?
We do, yeah. So we've got SAS, we've got the youth project. I've got an over 55s project, which they're all over 70, and they are amazing.
Love that.
I've got a young lady who's 80,
wow,
who can now get in and out of her chair without her sticks.
That's amazing, isn't
now,
it?
for me, that's phenomenal. That's better than any medal or trophy because she's now going to be able to be independent for just a little bit longer and stay at home. I've got a guy who trained today who had polio as a child and has got muscle wasting on his legs. We've managed to build him a bit of muscle. That's great. That's phenomenal. It means he's going to stay on his feet for a bit longer. So we do strength training. So I've got 80-year-old people deadlifting, which is fantastic. Today they were pushing and pulling a sled. It's just moving and trying to keep going. I work with Age UK and the Essence Project. So I've got a dementia group where I work with dementia patients, which is fantastic. It's great. They're so funny. And we just do a bit of strength training to just trying to keep or build a little bit of muscle so they can keep going for a little bit longer. I'm now a battle cancer coach. So I run a project which is for people who have come out the other side of cancer treatment and need to build up their strength again. So it's a 12-week free course, and they can come along and do some strength training. Strength training is literally for everyone.
It really is.
It really is.
And I guess lots of these things you mentioned are free to participants. Yeah. Is that because of funding and because of the money that you've brought in elsewhere? Is that kind of right?
So the Battle Cancer is funded, Age UK is funded. I run a menopause workshop every 6 weeks. I know. I'm literally juggling
when do you get
my
time
plates.
to do anything?
I don't have none at all. No time ever. I run a menopause workshop, which is great. That's been funded for 12 months by Sport England. I have the Age UK's now been the over 55s group's been funded for the next 12 months as well. So they're all free, but we do a free or pay as you feel. Right. And what we say to people is the money that you pay, we just reinvest back into the equipment or to doing other stuff. A lot of my classes end up with a coffee and a cake. So, funnily enough.
I was going to ask you about that, weights and cake. So where does the cake bit come in?
Yeah.
You talked about the weights.
We're sponsored by the Egg-Free Cake Box.
Yeah.
So, Souk in Sunderland sponsors 2 young people a month and pays for their memberships and sponsors them to go to competitions, buys new shoes if we need it, and provides us with cake. Which is always good. It's always good.
You touched on this earlier, though, because it's not about looking like a stick insect. It's not about 6 packs. It's not about the image. It's about being able to train, isn't it? And I guess your diet, not that it's irrelevant, but I guess that's secondary to what you're trying to do. Is that right? Or
yeah, I mean, we work on nutrition with our young people because the nutrition education they receive is pretty limited. So our young people get taught that if they want to perform, this is how they need to fuel their body. Right. And we try and look at food as fuel, and cake's great, chocolate's great, wine, maybe not for the kids, but wine's great. But we should all be living like nice lives and eating good food in moderation.
Life's too short, isn't it?
Life's way too short not to have cake.
Yeah, there's people just put so much worry about these things and thinking what if, and everything in now and again, it's fine, isn't it? It's perfect.
Absolutely fine. And understanding what food does to your body or for your body. So understanding about protein, building muscles and recovery, and understanding our young people, we work with them and tell them, if you don't get enough sleep, you can't perform well in school. If you're not drinking your water, you can't perform well in school. You're not going to be able to win at competitions because you're not fueled effectively. So it's about giving them that information so they make the decisions themselves.
So now's the point in the show where we ask you some excellent questions.
Love it.
So
I love a pun.
The question I have to ask you first is, what would you say is your scrambled egg moment? What would you say is your scrambled egg moment? Where something maybe wasn't going so well, and then you sorted it out.
So
in business,
I would say my scrambled egg moment was, we are a British weightlifting affiliated club. We're also a talent academy. So our young people have the pathways to go to the Commonwealth and do amazing things if they want to. However, it's not my focus. And my scrambled egg moment was taking my eye off that and recruiting people who were performance-based and having coaches in the club who were focused purely on performance, when I like to focus on the actual person that's in front of me. So I like to look after their mental health. I want to know what's going on at school. I want them to be happy, healthy individuals and lift weights. So for me, that was a bit of a learning curve, and it made me go back, look at what my business was about, what my strengths were, and refocus. Yeah. I
think we talked about this with another guest as well. It's about keeping. This is why we started. This is what we set out to do. It's about sometimes revisiting that, isn't it? And but it's easy to lose track of that, isn't it? Because not because it's shiny, but sometimes you think, actually, let's do this or let's do that. So that would be a lesson, would you say?
Yeah, and it's difficult because people do come at you and say, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, and they pay you. And sometimes when you're a struggling social enterprise, it's amazing what you'll do for money. But keeping focus of what we want to achieve is a big thing for me.
I love it. And what would you say is your golden egg moment? What would you say is that golden egg kind of nugget that somebody's given you, or some advice you would give to somebody else?
Network. Absolutely. Build your community, meet other social enterprises, collaborate, work together. There are so many people that we work with now that we wouldn't have dreamt of meeting or working with had it not been for the BIC. and the networking events that we go to, and the relationships that we've built within Sunderland have been phenomenal. So yeah, network, get out there.
Sometimes a cup of tea is all it takes, isn't it? And you I always say this to people: you never ever know who you're going to meet. You know, I could tell you a million stories now, but you could be stood there, and before you know it, you're working with that person, you're doing this project, and you've had it yourself with Age UK and all the rest of it. It's I totally agree. And collaboration is key, isn't it? I think the days where everybody had their own little campfire and kept the wood to themselves have to go, don't they?
They do have to go, because we've all got our strengths. We've all got things that we're really, really good at. And we need to put it out in the community, and we all need to work together and do projects together so that we're all looking to improve our community and build stronger communities.
Oh, good. What would you say keeps you sunny side up? What keeps you smiling and keeps you positive, Zoe?
God, training, probably. Training's still my safe space.
Really, still,
yeah.
Do you still get time amongst everything else you do?
I like to train every single day, just because I program myself in my diary like I would a client. So I allow myself to train every single day because it just keeps my head right and stops me from, my head falling off.
That's the bit that people forget about sometimes.
Yeah, because it's difficult in social enterprise because you're everything. You're the manager, you're the coffee maker, you're the toilet cleaner, you're the deliverer, you're the bid writer. You're literally everything to everyone. So, when you're starting out, it is about having some space to make sure that you don't fall apart.
Definitely. Well, we're nearly at the end.
Yay.
It's sad, isn't it?
That's gone really quick.
It has gone really quick. It has really quick. I guess the final question really, or kind of, is just to say, if anybody wanted to get involved with Weights Cakes CIC, or if anybody wanted to support you guys, what opportunities are there for them, and how do they get involved?
Yeah, so we've got lots of opportunities coming up. We're actually expanding, so we're doubling our capacity. So we'll be taking on some new coaches. I'm working with Sunderland University, delivering some courses over there so that we can train up some coaches to come and work for us. We always look for volunteers. We've got a community kitchen coming up, so we're looking for, we're looking for people who can come in and teach our young people how to cook. We have support. We have an ADHD support group that we have once a month, which is fantastic. And we're always looking for people to come along to that or to talk at that. So there's loads of opportunities. We're on most of the socials. I think we're on everything apart from X or whatever it's called now. We're on everything else. It's Weights Cakes, and we're in Southwick. Search
for there. We'll pop the links in the comments as well, so you can follow them. Well, Zoe, I think it's been great talking to you. Thanks for sharing your story. Genuinely inspirational, and
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
How come you haven't been back since that first session you did, Ant?
Because I'm scared. I can't lift anything like these guys can. But no, honestly, thank you so much for being inspiration. I know the work you do is phenomenal, and there's so many kids, older people, and in between who you're helping. So, Zoe, I'm going to present you your very own good egg. Thank you for being a good egg.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, man, Zoe. You've been
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.